Howdy y'all, I am Ice Gold, to your mind, and today we are going to be going over some of the changes coming to Wiz in this year's summer update. I was going to get on Test Realm to do this, but apparently it went down for the weekend like 2 hours early, so awesome. I guess we're on live realm doing it, so there is that. But this update has got some pretty interesting things coming to it. There is the new highly anticipated Lemuria Raid with the Heat theme and 8 players that we talked about a bit ago. There are also a bunch of new Aquila spells, which I will mention right now. Those are going to be delayed by a little bit, meaning they will not be coming with the update, but like Liches and Legends, it will probably come a month or so later. So just think of it as like an early July type release for those spells rather than the usual, I guess, early to mid-June that we're expecting to get this test realm on live. So that's going to take a while, but I'm still going to go over them. And then there's also some other balance changes like Frostbite and Poison have been changed. There's honestly just a lot of interesting stuff going on, and I think it's going to be an interesting time for the game. And yeah, first though, I wanted to briefly discuss the new raid. The Ghastly Conspiracy Raid is bugged to hell, and I have not played in it yet, and I don't expect to for a while, but it's an interesting experience from what I have seen. There's like a bunch of attunement stones that you've got to find and beat the main boss, that sort of thing. Apparently World's First was obtained by the guild pulling their routers repeatedly, so we love Wiz, we love Test Realm. The Lemuria Raid seems like it's got some pretty interesting mechanics. I think it'll be interesting to sort of go over them and just see what's going on with that. And another, like, a really important part that I am really happy about actually is the fact that the gear templates are the recycled Xibalba and Hunao, well, kind of Hunao. It's like dollar store Hunao, but the Xibalba set, you can craft the Xibalba set at Gwyn Fellwarden, and that will just get you the same template. I don't know what the new item cards are going to be, but I'm going to be tossing up the gear pieces on screen, so that will, I guess, show you, courtesy of Wizard101 spoilers. And so we have that to think about. And so I think it should be pretty neat. I am excited that, this gear that's so integral to the PvP experience is finally going to become much, much easier to obtain. I talked about this in my Lemuria Raid video that I made a bit ago, where I sort of talked about, like, it's like the Crying Sky Raid it remains the hardest content in the entire game. And so for that gear, that near impossible to obtain gear, to become more possible to obtain, still through raiding, but this is like considerably less painstaking to get, then that gear is it's nice and refreshing. I'm glad that it's coming back. The templates are, and I'm excited to get to farming, and this gear will be upgradable to level 180. At the moment though, I'm not so sure if I will be farming the Lemuria Raid, at least not now, because I already have the 170 pieces for all of this stuff and the gear and all of that, so it's really going to depend on if the item cards are really that much better. I heard that the wands will be giving an aura or something like that, so like a furnace for fire, but I don't know. If that's the case, maybe I'll go for it, like just the wands, but for the time being, I am just going to stick to my Xibalba stuff, although I will, unfortunately, have to get into the Polaris raid, because I have barely done any of that, and I've been rocking the Nullity Rubs forever, so yeah, hopefully we'll get to it eventually. We will get to it eventually, so there's that. And I'll finally be able to get the actual best gear, so I can make a 4th installment of that series, What's the New World is out. Anyway, so thinking about that, the Lemuria Raid, it should be interesting to traverse. I think it'll be quite interesting, and I'm glad that the gear is coming back. So I think that wraps up the Lemuria Raid more or less. It's just a more accessible way to get all of the best PvP gear these days, and I think that's interesting. I think that's cool. So with that in mind, let's talk about the spells. And I decided to record this on my Fire today because the new Wrath of Ares spell, or the Mars spell, whatever you want to call it, pretty much does more than an Amit fusion for 1 extra pip. I can't wrap my head around that. Like, can we talk about that for a moment? It's like, this is already an insane card. I mean, this is 1300 damage and a triple dot for 7 pips, but what we're looking at with this Mars spell is at max tier, it'll do 1400 damage for 8 pips, and it'll be a chromatic dot. So I would expect the worst dot meta in years once this card drops. It's going to be a major concern. I think everybody's just going to be cosplaying Fire, and you're really just going to want to sit on like life pips or storm pips just straight permanently to be able to counter stuff like that, because I mean, even though Ifrit is actually getting changed, that is one thing that I wanted to talk about just briefly. Ifrit and Fire Scion, which, let me just go back to this Fire Scion because the spell elements are still glitched, and those aren't being fixed in the summer update, by the way, but this is being changed, and this is being changed. So Ifrit and Fire Scion, as well as all the dot gambits like Trickster Oni, Verdurous Jin, that sort of deal, these are being changed to where they gambit the dots for to add the extra dots. So there's that, just to think about. But honestly, with this new Wrath of Mars spell, it's gonna take up more than an Ifrit, honestly. Like, it's just going to be doing so much more. But I mean, this will still be useful. It's just like you'll hit it at the end, as opposed to like just Ifriting on the second round and just overloading. But you more or less get the idea. It's a slight nerf because you can actually counter effectively now. But yeah, I mean, more or less, you get the picture. These will be gambiting the dots, which will severely nerf raid strats, which I'm not excited for, but I mean, it kind of helps with the dot meta in PvP. It's like they're fixing, and I don't want to say fixing because they're not fixing them. They're just like slightly nerfing them, but they're nerfing Ifrit and Scion just to add that Wrath of Mars spell, which is just going to be even worse. We're going to be seeing, obviously, Fires use it a bunch. We're going to see Ices using it. I feel like I might genuinely use that on my Ice. Storms might even take the plunge. We'll see. And then, you know, obviously Myth can set up Trickster Oni with it. Life as well could use it with something like, honestly, the Life spell, which will be gambiting dots for hots, could be just like you could infinitely loop like Rain of Fire and the new Life spell. So, oh boy, these spells I think are going to shake up the meta worse than I thought. But yeah, Deaths obviously are going to use the Mars spell. But overall, the new Aquila spells, it's mostly just going to be the Fire one that's going to attain any sort of notoriety. Some of the others are decent. Like I said, the Life one is kind of just going to make it into like a ping pong type spell, but you know, you have the Life spell. The Death spell might actually see some change. It's rumored to be like gambiting shields for a negative aura, which is the inverse of what it is now. You gambit a negative aura for some shields. So I personally don't like that if they do decide to change it, because you know, you just click, you dig in your side deck and you click one of your 6 furnaces, and there you go. You've countered your minus 60 or whatever it is outgoing chromatic damage aura, which is what they want to change it to. So yeah, overall, this that would make it kind of trivial. It's not my favorite change, but you more or less get the picture there. What else is there? I guess the Ice spell, I've heard, is just going to be yet another Blades to Traps. You can't make this up. Traps obviously are a useless hanging effect right now, just due to how punishing the counters are. So The ice spell is pretty much dead on arrival. The storm one is actually going to be kind of interesting. It's going to basically, it's going to be a triple dot clear like Leviathan is for 7 pips, and then it's going to put a 35% incoming damage aura on the target for up to 6 rounds, depending on how many dots it clears, which I think is interesting because it does put up some pressure, but I don't expect there to be any treasure cards of it, so deck cycling is going to be a huge pain in the neck for that, so we'll really just have to see how that goes. The Myth one, I think, is going to be putting on like 60 traps, which should be kind of interesting. And then the Life one we've been over, Death one we've been over, and then the Balance one is going to echo Blades. So I think you could, like, if you're a Balance going against a Myth, you could Raw twice and then use the new spell to get yourself a bunch of 35 Blades. I think that could be cool, and I personally don't think I would see myself using it too much, but like having it be like a 1 copy thing and then just spamming Raw into that, it's like that would net me some extra damage. That would net me the damage advantage I would need in that matchup. So who knows? Maybe, maybe we'll see how that goes. So just to cap off, there's. Am I getting insane encoding lag? No, it doesn't look like I am. Okay, just gotta keep an eye on that. But there's 3 more card changes that are coming to this game, and they are the Judgment ban, which, thank God for that. Judgment has been holding the game hostage just forever. It's like the devs finally sort of understood the Judgment is an insane card for Balance to have. Like, balances were quote-unquote knowing their judgment numbers. Like, they get you to 3,000, 4,000 HP and then just surge into a judge with the right amount of pips and just win on the spot. So yeah, it was a good way for Balance to threaten sudden death, and the devs realized that was a bad thing, so they finally axed it and kind of neutered it. I'll say that. Judgment now, Judgment just now, it's like a hot echo type thing, so it's pretty much unusable, and I am perfectly happy with that. So there you have that. And then the next 2, I did want to briefly touch on Poison for a second, because that is getting changed. Poison and Frostbite both are getting changed. The top path is getting banned, and the bottom path is being introduced. We all knew this was coming. We honestly all thought it was going to happen in April with the Storm Elf ban, but, you know, it's happening now, I guess. So Poison is actually quite interesting. It is going to be a negative aura clear. Okay, so I guess I am getting encoding lag. I guess I'm going to have to switch back to my main hard drive, just because this external one that I got like literally 8 months ago is already shitting the bed. Awesome. So, assuming y'all can still see my screen and it's not freezing, Poison now clears a negative aura for 2 50% death blades. That is immense. Like, let's just, it's crazy. Like, this is the first ever negative aura clear that actually works and will get you value. So I think that's going to be a very interesting addition to the game. I think it should be quite nice. It should be definitely an interesting new mechanic that Death has. Death is technically supposed to clear negative auras. Hi, Aaron. Get off Wiz. You got it. So yeah, so Poison clearing a negative aura, that is going to be pretty good for the Death School to have. Do I have him added here? No, I don't. Okay. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very good card for Death to have. And with that in mind, let's now talk about Frostbite, because Frostbite it's just going to be... Frostbite is going to be in such a weird spot, because the mechanic that it's getting is something that I have been wanting for literal years. Like, it's basically, up until now, Ice has not had a Wall of Blades type spell. And what that means is, like a Blades Shields type card. One has just not existed for Ice. It has actually existed for Death in the form of Wabagang Frenzy, which is right here. Clear 4 blades for some shields. And yeah, I don't think it exists for another spell. I could have sworn Death had another one, but maybe I'm tripping there. So yeah, could be interesting. But it's gonna be 5 pips for a clear 4 and get 4 55% chromatic shields. This, like I said, I've wanted it forever, but for 5 pips, man, I'm never going to use that, and there's not a shot in hell it's going to exist as a TC, so I don't know. I don't think it's going to see much use. I think on paper it's good, but for 5 pips, I don't like it. I don't think it's good. And I think if it were a clear 3 for 4 pips, I think it would be much better, and I would use it. But right now, I think I'm going to stick to Impair on my Ice, just because Ice has no good blade counters at the moment. So it is what it is there. Kind of sad to see the mechanic that I've wanted so badly for so long just kind of get put at the most awkward pip cost ever, because it's such a bad pip trade for that, so you know how it is. But I guess we'll see. I know that there's some people who think it's going to be really, really good, but listen, a lot of people who think it's going to be really, really good just don't play Ice, and it's very obvious that they don't, so you have that. Yeah, they wouldn't get it. They don't know how important pips are for an Ice, and so just having it be 5 pips for that, it's not great. You could get away with it if you had a pip conserve setup, but right now Ice is not running that in favor of hitting their stat caps, because on my Ice right now, if I were to switch my Xibalba sword for my Hunahao sword, I would lose, it'll say I lose 1 pierce, but I actually lose 2 pierce, because 46 pierce rounds down to 45, so I pretty much have to stick with my Xibalba wand in order to stay at that coveted 47, which is our pierce cap at the moment. So something to keep in mind, I suppose. It's just kind of abysmal for Ice right now in that regard, but what can you do? Anyway, I think that is the last thing to really go over. We talked about the Lemuria Raid, some of the spell changes. I guess one thing to kind of note is that there have been some spoilers for things like there's a new Darkmoor castle that's being teased and being released. There's also some new cosmetic sets themed around Darkmoor, and for that to be happening in 2025, as well as hints in Selenopolis pointing toward the next storyline world being, like, I guess, dark. It's, I think my current prediction is that we will be going back to Darkmoor for the next world in the storyline for level 180. I think that'll be quite interesting, but we will just have to see how it's going. And yeah, no official teasers have been put out about that yet, but I am hoping that we get some as the fall draws closer and closer. So for now, thank y'all for watching. I've been Ice Gold. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave like 50 comments for the algorithm. My Discord is down in the description if you want to chat with me some more. And I will see y'all later.